who am I? You know, who am I to the people? You know, I have a kid now, like I said before. Honestly, it's just that fatherhood time. You know, I haven't yet spent much more time with my son as I would want to. And he'll understand that as he gets older. If I can see, like, how can I change and how can I give my son more knowledge rather than luxury things, then I'm gonna do that. My father, though, is the one that really, he knows me best. He's seen me at my worst, he's seen me at my best. You know, and he's gonna be the one that definitely is gonna tell me the things that I really need to focus on how can I beat this guy. I trust him with my life.
It's the first week. It's the break. The first minute hurts.
Long before the crowd roars or the opening round starts, this matchup is already underway. It doesn't start inside the ropes or beneath bright lights, but in unseen moments where confidence is challenged and routines are exposed for what they truly are. Two competitors, each guided by a different pace, are heading toward the same evening while coming from entirely different paths.
Rhythms moving toward the same night from opposite directions.
And I just want everyone to see that, you know, my father didn't become trainer of the year just by luck. You know, in 2020, you know, we beat the most decorated fighter pound for pound during that time, Vasily Lomachenko. That was from him. You know, he told me how the game plan had to go.
And he'll push him and he'll freaking just try dogging him. But he's trained for that. He's trained to keep on doing that every round. So when he spars,
make everybody tired.
So when he spars, I tell him, okay, you can box. Yeah. You can box, but what's gonna happen when you can't box no more? You get tired of it and you feel that guy's weight.
Yeah.
Touch your body and go on top, and then you go on top. Good. Put that head.
Concentrate.
Under.
You're doing things like you will never do it.
Lopez has long lived in a zone that makes people uneasy, where self-assurance pushes up against rebellion, and conviction isn't built on applause, but forged through skepticism. He's never relied on perfect conditions or a controlled environment to succeed. More often than not, disorder has been the trigger that brings out his sharpest form. That's exactly why the way he's approaching the matchup with Shakur Stevenson stands out so much.
A lot of the times, you know, I didn't want to go into the gym. I didn't, you know, especially when I had to swim. You know, that was painful. But it was the training, the work ethics that you have to put in between the miles of running and the depths of how you have to sacrifice your whole body in this. You know, a lot of people don't understand, even to this day, how much we have to really do, how much we beat up our body.
So when he comes here, you go to the body. When he comes here, go to the body. Oh, beautiful.
He can't touch the champ.
This time around, the distractions haven't pulled him off course. They've narrowed his attention, away from the spotlight. Teofimo's camp has centered on refining the areas that don't depend on raw emotion. The emphasis has been on smarter range management, maintaining restraint between sudden attacks, and bringing order to situations where he once relied purely on instinct.
You know who that is, right?
Like really looking. My father put me in with the top guys, professional fighters at like 12, 13 years old. You know, and that was something that I really enjoyed the most because it was hard. I would cry, I would run away, I didn't like it. I would tell him like, you know, this is not for me. I want to quit. And he would just, nope, no, you could do this. My father would flip it around sometimes and say, okay, you want to quit? We'll quit. And literally I would stop for maybe a day or two and bug him, be like, hey, I want to go back in the gym. So I believe we had this connection, obviously, since birth.
The focus goes far beyond strength or sudden flashes of speed. What's being prioritized now is restraint, precision, and the awareness that facing Shakur means opportunities will be rare and unforgiving. There's a clear sense that this training cycle is rooted in responsibility. Fewer moments spent playing to the audience, more time spent in honest self-check. Each workout seems built around a single concern. When the pace drops and the action stretches out, can Teofimo remain effective and mentally locked in?
Camp, you know, you gotta be serious and stuff. You know, yeah, that's to get focused on the fight, but gotta make it a fun camp. So, right now, I'm gonna blow my dad's ear.
13,000 years ago, there was a dominant power in the study of ancient America. But it was wrong. The old notion had been completely overturned. Fossilized human footprints have been found in the New Mexican desert.
I don't feel good, bro. Why you do that to me, bro? And you film that too, man? You better erase that.
We understand that Shakur is at his best when rivals lose patience and unravel. Because of that, the current focus is on avoiding that trap and applying pressure without forcing exchanges. This isn't a version of Teofimo hunting for highlights. It's someone aiming to dictate the tempo and shape the fight on his terms. And that version poses the greatest.
It's important to take breaks in between camps, you know, or even in camp. We're so focused at what's at task that we end up forgetting to have fun. You know, we have a long week of training. Let's reward ourselves for that week.
Across from that approach stands Shakur Stevenson, a boxer who has never depended on disorder to find his edge, because structure and control have always been where he feels most at home.
Today we're doing sparring breakfast. So we're gonna do a little mixed potato hash with some chicken, sausage, and some protein pancakes, and some ancient grain sourdough. Ready. Ready.
To me, too slow.
Still too slow. Get out the way. It's all that matters. It's all that matters.
If I'm Zach, I'm gonna keep walking to you, and I'm gonna
He gotta catch it. It's only 300.
Yeah, get ready. We need to be pushed today. Bring the smoke, baby.
That dude ain't going that way.
Yep, that's the body. Yep, take that body. July 12th, demolishment. We went to demolish. Guys way too slow, force too sharp, too fast, too strong.
Where Teofimo is developing control through limitation, Shakur does it by trimming away anything unnecessary. His preparation has been calm, intentional, and nearly surgical in its approach. The work revolves around consistent drills, clear execution, and making the right choices while tired. There's no attempt here to reshape his style. The goal is precision. Each workout is designed to strengthen the tools that already define his threat. Managing space, staying centered, striking on rhythm, and keeping his mind steady regardless of the chaos outside the ropes.
There we go. There we go. Left 15, all the way down.
Tweaking a day.
Yeah, that's that prep. That's what you already been doing?
Yeah.
That got it.
Let me see that.
Good. That's good.
I feel great. Sprints kind of be getting me right, get my conditioning right. Sometimes in a fight could turn into a sprint.
Shakur prepares with the expectation that challenges will arise, not as sudden shocks, but as predictable tests. His camp is built around handling Teofimo's bursts, absorbing the crowd's energy, and staying composed when the tide seems ready to turn. The priority is remaining grounded through all of it. He doesn't speed through rounds, hunt for reactions, or mistake constant motion for real command. His approach centers on economy, limiting choices, drawing errors, and doing so without forcing collisions. Shakur understands this matchup won't be decided by raw emotion or sheer output. It will be settled in the pauses between exchanges, where angles outweigh strength and restraint overcomes impulse. His training mirrors that belief. He isn't preparing to make a statement. He's preparing to carry out a plan.
Big fight coming up. I heard you was the one that wanted to fight, right?
Yeah. I actually set this fight up. And I honestly did it because I wanted to push myself. I know that Teo is a tremendous fighter. I know he's on an extremely high level. And I feel like, well, I know that I can beat him, but I know that this should be a tough set, so I'm ready.
Who were some of the other options you had?
Lamar Roach.
That would have been a real good fight, man. But I mean, Teo, he's a bigger name, though, so I see why you went with him.
Yeah, bigger name, and also he got the more accolades. He's been undisputed before. He's on one belts at 35, one belts at 30, at 40. So he's more accomplished. So I know that would be a better name on my resume.
While Shakur is quietly polishing control and accuracy, Teofimo Lopez is revealing just as much through a very different lens. He's speaking with the conviction of someone who truly believes possession has meaning. Listening to that interview, it doesn't come across as an attempt to persuade the audience. It sounds more like a message directed inward. Teofimo isn't putting on a show of confidence. He's drawing boundaries. When he says Shakur can't claim what he sacrificed for, that isn't marketing language. It's about who he believes he is. And there's a noticeable level of awareness in the way he expresses it. The references stand out too. The video game analogies, the discussions around Roy Jones Jr., the study of past greats like Roy Jones Jr. and Henry Armstrong. Those details suggest this camp isn't built on repetition fueled by ego. It's driven by exploration. Teofimo understands that natural talent alone won't solve the puzzle against Shakur Stevenson. That's why he's searching for added dimensions, misdirection, rhythm breaks, timing created through feints. These are the subtle elements that don't make highlight clips, but quietly decide rounds.
No, I think at certain points in your career, right, you have to realize that you don't know everything, right? And sometimes you have those, like the likes of Roy Jones Jr., who was arguably the best fighter in the 90s, even the early 2000s. And for him to want to, help me in some sense, maybe there's something that I'm not possibly there yet with that he could possibly add to my arsenal, and I would love to see more. I would love to learn more. That's like some type of mentorship.
What stands out most is how openly he admits there are still things he hasn't mastered. That isn't insecurity, it's progress. And when he speaks about mentality, faith, and fate, it's clear this matchup lives in his mind as something bigger than a single night. He isn't focused on winning a war of words with Shakur. He's focused on believing more deeply than him. Even his response to Shakur being called dull is calculated. He doesn't brush it off or argue against it. He accepts it and flips it, basically saying that disruption is exactly why he's showing up. That reaction captures Teofimo perfectly. He doesn't avoid storylines. He steps directly into them and tries to bend them. So while Shakur is quietly tightening control away from the noise, Teofimo is reinforcing his certainty within it. Learning, adapting, and reinforcing the idea that preparation paired with conviction leads to dominance. Whether people agree with that outlook or not, one thing is clear. He doesn't sound unfocused or erratic. He sounds centered, and a composed, fully committed Teofimo Lopez heading into a fight is a serious threat.
What's it like seeing him now kind of face to face? When you look at him, what do you see? Because obviously you're not locked in just yet, and the closer it gets to a fight, obviously things turn a little bit. But when you do look at Shakur, what do you think of him?
I think I don't think too much of it. I think that he believes in himself. That's one thing. But I'm here to destroy his dreams and all that he wants to do and become. You can't take this from me. I worked very hard for it. I've bled for this, and I'm not taking nothing from him, but I just believe that what's gonna happen next is for destiny in the boxing ring.
Right after hearing Teofimo speak with that blend of certainty, self-examination, and unmistakable "this belongs to me" energy, the tone shifts abruptly when Shane Mosley enters a discussion. It feels like an experienced mind leaning over the board and cutting through the noise to get to the truth. When someone like Mosley labels this matchup a genuine 50-50, that isn't indecision. That's an acknowledgement that real threat exists on both sides. What makes his perspective land is how simply he defines it. No talk of promotion, resumes, or reputation. Just one deciding factor. Who asserts control first? That's where the tension truly lives. On one side is Shakur, aiming to slow everything down, keep the fight muted, calculated, and orderly, as if lowering the volume a round at a time. On the other is Teofimo, capable of instantly shifting gears and turning movement, quickness, and strength into pure interruption. Mosley pointing out that Teofimo can actually operate as a technician when he commits to it is crucial, because that part of his skill set often gets overlooked. This is an unrefined aggressor, relying on chance. This is someone who solved Lomachenko on the fly, a feat that very few fighters can claim, and certainly not by accident.
I think you're going to need a couple of rounds, but the first round is going to be very interesting. Maybe you see some tails, but I think maybe 2 or 3 you're going to start seeing one leave the other. Because I don't think that, Shakur might show some different, if he has to go after Teofimo, he might show some different type of heart that we haven't seen, or different type of fighting we haven't seen, and vice versa, whereas Teofimo's hitting him with different shots off the angle, that is kind of giving, Shakur Stevenson trouble. We'll see about that.
The discussion around the weight change sounds like experience speaking, not anxiety. There's no jumping to conclusions, no alarm, just a calm curiosity about how that speed translates once extra mass comes into play. That's seasoned insight. And it's just as telling that Shane refuses to anoint a favorite too early. In his view, the opening rounds are about information gathering. But by the second or third, someone's influence will start shaping everything. Either Shakur begins to create separation through subtle angles and precise timing, or Teofimo starts connecting with those awkward, offbeat shots that force opponents to rethink their entire approach. What really lands is how casually Mosley dismisses the idea of making predictions. His attitude is basically, "I'm just here to watch." And that fits this matchup perfectly. This isn't a fight you break down to sound clever. It's one you study to appreciate how razor-thin the differences are. It has nothing to do with resumes or appearances on paper. It comes down to who can drag the other into a version of the fight they don't want to be in. And when a Hall of Famer says he's reaching for snacks instead of judging rounds, that's the cue. Get ready. This fight is going to expose something genuine.
I think people overlook of Teofimo is he can box when he wants to. Like, he's shown he has a slick style too when he wants to do that.
When he wants to do that. So if you have a slick style and you got power and you got the speed too, and you're fighting at 140. So let's see. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson is going to get slower moving up in weight or not, where Teofimo can hit him. Maybe he was really fast at 130, 26-30, maybe 35, but 40, you put on a little bit more weight. I think that he holds the weight probably really, really good, but you just don't know.
Right after Mosley finishes dissecting the matchup with the calm authority of someone who's witnessed every form of disorder a ring can produce, Wade Plemons steps in and subtly shifts the perspective. The focus widens just enough to demand your attention. Now, it's no longer only about contrasting techniques. It becomes a discussion about timing, purpose, and the sport finally getting out of its own way. Listening to it, the thought it's immediately, this is the kind of moment boxing has been missing. Two world-class fighters, both still at their peak, not stalled by years of delay, not shielded by excuses, actually committing when the moment calls for it. Wade's enthusiasm doesn't feel manufactured. It comes through naturally as he frames this as a fight that needed to happen, not merely one that sounds appealing. And that distinction matters. This isn't being built around highlight reel finishes or social media clips. It's about hierarchy. Shakur isn't stepping in to win over casual viewers. His aim is command, over distance, over tempo, over pride. Teofimo isn't showing up to outlast rounds. He's here to validate that his confidence carries substance, not just volume. What really lands is how Wade embraces the idea that both men are operating with a certain level of self-belief that borders on denial. That's the uncomfortable truth about greatness. Elite fighters have to see themselves as untouchable, even when evidence suggests otherwise. Shakur believes Teofimo is fooling himself. Teofimo believes Shakur hasn't yet encountered his reckoning, and that mutual certainty is exactly why this matchup works. When two fighters both see themselves as a final solution, the ring doesn't exaggerate or lie. It brings clarity.
That Teofimo's delusional, Shakur has that same delusion. It's what propels both of them to the highest degree. Now, here was them facing off a couple of months ago, I think, at this point. And this is what I was talking about. Shakur is, in stature, the bigger guy, which is crazy because he fights at the lower weight. He's a bit more skinny, obviously, but now he's coming up to 140, and it feels like Teofimo Lopez can't go much bigger than 140. Like, I've heard him talk about going to 147. That would be the highest I would think Teo should go, but here's their face-off.
Real quick, Izzy, you should be in the middle. I know I'm the... Yeah. There you go.
Like, these dudes don't hate each other, and you don't necessarily have to. There are certain fights where that level of venom is needed, and it's
what gives Wade's analysis real weight is how firmly it stays rooted in reality. Even with all the excitement surrounding the matchup, there's no attempt to dress it up as a slugfest or promise a finish that may never materialize. This is a test of skill and decision-making, where every choice carries consequences. When he describes it as a chess game, it lands because that's exactly the dynamic. Strategy layered with pride, as Shakur's approach revolve around turning defense into offense, causing opponents to miss, quietly frustrating them, and piling up rounds while they're still searching for rhythm. Teofimo presents danger for a different reason. He has the technical ability as well, but he decides when to reveal it. When fully engaged, he can convert small errors into momentum-shifting moments almost instantly. Wade noting that Teofimo has already taken a loss while Shakur remains unbeaten matters, not as criticism but as context. It means Shakur will eventually have to confront questions Teofimo has already encountered and pushed through. At the same time, Teofimo must show that past uneven performances are truly behind him when the stakes are highest. I appreciate how Wade frames this as a sport reconnecting with its core purpose. This is elite competition. Top fighters facing top fighters without cushions or narrative protection. Nobody's tuning in to see who sells a story better or sounds sharper on a microphone. The real interest is in who can fully impose their style when the pressure is real. This fight isn't meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be revealing. And when experienced voices stop forecasting outcomes and instead say, let's watch, that's when you know something meaningful is about to happen.
Between Shakur and Teo, because they're both very technical. Both guys understand the sweet science and fight very smart. No one takes a ton of risks. Teo does have a bit more pop in his shots and can put you down, but if you take the risk of making a massive mistake versus a guy like Shakur, then Shakur will outbox you, outclass you, and take you into deep water. So we'll see. Stylistically, we'll see how this thing goes, because I don't see a super over-aggressive Teofimo Lopez. I don't see that. I don't see Shakur getting too out of pocket with him either, but we will have, I think, a very, very high skill, high level boxing match.
I'll be honest. I'm gonna be real honest. He was a lot better.
From a stylistic standpoint, this matchup sits on a very fine line because both Shakur and Teofimo operate at a high technical level. Each of them understands boxing at its core and approaches the craft with intelligence. Neither fighter is reckless by nature. Teofimo does carry slightly more impact in his punches and has the ability to drop someone. But that threat comes with risk. Against a fighter like Shakur, one major error can be costly. Because Shakur has the skill to separate himself, control the exchanges, and drag you into later rounds where precision and composure matter most. That's why the style clash is so intriguing. It's hard to imagine Teofimo charging forward without restraint, and it's just as unlikely that Shakur abandons his discipline and overextends himself.
And Shakur is phenomenal. I mean, he's just phenomenal, excellent boxer.
cat-like reflexes, sharpshooter, knows what he's doing in there, great ring generalship, know when to use his jab. I mean, Shakur he's so good that it might be to a default. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. You got somebody like Roy Jones, who was so good that he ain't fighting nobody. These guys are number ones. And it's just that he's so good, he make these guys look like nobody. So they say, oh, wait, he ain't fought nobody. Why come he just can't be that good?
Right after Wade delivers his breakdown with measured, almost tactical calm, the tone shifts immediately when Lonnie B joins in. Suddenly, this isn't about concepts or hypotheticals anymore. It's about sensation. You can hear it instantly. This isn't the excitement of someone studying tape. It's the energy of someone who's shared gym space with these fighters. And that viewpoint carries weight. When a person who's held pads with Teofimo and watched Shakur operate up close calls this matchup explosive, that's not exaggeration. It's lived experience. Lonnie isn't speculating. He's responding from instinct and memory. His description of Teofimo's burst is funny on the surface, but unsettling underneath. It's the kind of power that resets expectations, where you're halfway through a session and suddenly questioning what just hit you. It's raw, sudden, and disorienting in a way that doesn't translate well on film. Then he flips to Shakur and the tone changes again. He talks about him like a puzzle that almost feels unfair. Everything is so precise, so clean, that people miss how special it is while it's happening. The Roy Jones comparison lands for that reason. History has a habit of doing this. When someone makes world-class opponents look average, the audience starts asking who they really face instead of recognizing a rarity in front of them. Lonnie's point is simple but sharp. Shakur's biggest issue is that his excellence is easy to underestimate because it looks effortless. And that's a strange kind of problem to have.
Because Tio, he's one of those guys, once he touch some skin, that get him warmed up. Like, okay, he gets more brave. Like, okay, the wheels start going. Oh, I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. And you can see him putting the
when he's in the zone, it's almost impossible to stop it because
there we go.
He's tapping his back of his heel and he's setting up different traps and his confidence. It's like the key factor of his fight, right?
There we go.
If his confidence is here, you can almost kiss the fight goodbye. So Shakur has to rip his confidence from the second the fight starts and keep it that way, because if not,
there we go. He got to keep that gas tank.
What really elevates Lonnie's take is how honestly he lays out the risks on both sides without putting either fighter on a pedestal. He doesn't act like Shakur is invulnerable. He flat out points out that there are punches Shakur has absorbed before that simply can't be taken against Teofimo. That isn't criticism, it's realism. Teofimo isn't the kind of opponent you experiment against. One solid connection can change everything. His confidence spikes, the setups start appearing, the tempo shifts, and suddenly you're dealing with a completely different presence in the ring. The Floyd versus Roy comparison lands for the same reason. It captures a contrast without tearing either man down. One fighter bends a framework because his talent allows it. The other masters a framework so completely that it becomes a trap in itself. That contrast is exactly why this matchup feels rare. Lonnie isn't pitching this as a dull technical affair or an uncontrolled shootout. He's describing it as improvisation meeting improvisation. Two experts expressing skill in entirely different dialects. If Shakur doesn't erode Teofimo's belief early, the danger escalates quickly. If Teofimo can't disturb Shakur's composure, he risks spending 12 rounds swinging at what he can't catch. That balance is where the suspense lives. This isn't about who looks flashier in clips or who trends better online. It's about which fighter can remain true to himself once the other starts dragging him into unfamiliar territory. And when someone who's been around both sides says, "This one's special," that isn't marketing. That's a heads up.